What is going on? Welcome everybody into the Creed of Crypto podcast. How you doing? I am Boi Crypto. Internet issues abound a little bit tonight. We have some real rough weather here today. So if I'm choppy a little bit here and there, so be it. We're trying to fix it as the show goes on. But welcome in. If you guys are here, hit the like for us as we start this very special episode of the stream. It's going to be a very good one. We got a lot of stuff. Well, I don't know if you want to call it good, but there's a lot of stuff happening in the world of crypto today. CZ steps down forcibly as the CEO of Binance. We have developments in a certain situation involving the PulseChain ecosystem that we're going to talk about a little bit. Kraken under fire with the SEC. You know, once again, just like Oprah, you get a lawsuit, you get a lawsuit, you're sued, you're sued. We're going to talk about it all here this evening. So yeah, it's going to be a dramatic night, but smash the like if you guys are here. We want to hear your comments and thoughts about everything all night long. Ewok, how are you doing today, considering the circumstances of the market?
Hex users unaffected.
Yeah.
Well, maybe.
DeFi, anyway.
We'll see. I still feel like people are unnecessarily playing with certain dates, trying to game the system and buy and sell and do different things to try and stay one ahead. But I'm staked. I'm earning more through this whole time, so I'm not overly concerned. Trying to DCA and still, a lot going on, man. It's been crazy. You get one event after another, and got to see how the cards fall, man. But it's going to be an interesting couple months coming up, I think.
I think it definitely is. And just as a blanket statement, Ewok, during the stream, if there's any time that my internet is bad, I'm just going to tell me and I'll just knock off video and just do audio.
But I'll just kick you out.
You just kick me out. That's perfectly fine. Yeah. You can fly solo. But yeah, this is we've got a lot of situations today. So we always start off kind of looking at the prices of everything first here. So let's do that. Just looking at Bitcoin and ETH based on the actions today. Bitcoin down about 4% on the day anyway. We just obviously, Ewok, we're just talking in the green room, just had a new day technically turn over here at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But Bitcoin just over 36K. It was down a little bit below that. ETH at 1950. I mean, not really that far from where it's been the last few weeks, really. But a lot of alts, I mean, if you just kind of go down, I use Coin Paprika as far as any kind of coin ranking site, but just kind of going down, I mean, you can see everything basically down anywhere from like 3 to 10% as you get further down the risk curve here on the day. There's going to be kind of a cascade of this news. That's just kind of the way this thing works. And also, weirdly enough, and it is so funny how these things usually work out as far as like charting and stuff like that. But people that are familiar with the Bitcoin 60-day cycles, we were actually approaching here as we near Thanksgiving here in the United States, the 60-day cycle low time frame anyway. So it is kind of interesting that stuff does kind of line up a lot. Looking at the PulseChain ecosystem, and I will say if my numbers are not 100% exact here, then it's because of all the ridiculous trading that's been going on here over the last few hours. But there's been some whipsaws. We got Pulse at 4 zeros and a 5.6. Pulse X 4 zeros 1.6. It's really taking a beating today. Hex on a PulseChain, same thing. Actually, the Hex this is what's been happening, and this is something we're probably going to talk about tonight, but we've seen people in these whales, because there's all these whale wallets that keep on selling, but it's they're getting out of Hex. That's usually what they're selling out of, and then they're moving into the Pulse stuff, which I find interesting. So we'll see if that dynamic continues, but Hex is down 13% on the day. It's at 0.9 of a penny, and then eHex at half a penny, almost exactly, down the same amount, weirdly enough, as Hex. So, we can take a look at the actual price structures and stuff like that, Ewok, but this is, obviously pretty much a news thing. What was that? Was that your computer in the background?
Sorry.
Okay, no worries. I thought you started it over or something. But yeah, so we're getting big dips here. We had a big dip over the weekend, actually, when you and I were hanging out, like 10 to 15% just on Saturday night. And then, of course, this news today kind of makes everything plummet a little bit more. So just before we get into like the fundamental stuff and what's going on in the world of crypto, which we're going to do plenty, don't worry. What are you looking at just as far as this PulseChain ecosystem and the pricing? I mean, we were up over, I always grade it kind of by PulseChain and we were up over that 4 zeros and a 7 for a little bit. That looked like where it was maybe going to turn into support. Hasn't done that, and we've come back down here. So what do you make of this so far?
Well, yeah, I think the whales are, like you said, they're trying to play the ratio game. They're trying to get in and out of things. I think they're traders that know better than to just sit on your hands and do nothing. Some of them will make money, but many won't. And I think that's what's really what you're seeing is that you're moving in and out of these different tokens, maybe in and out of meme coins, trying to do different things. That's kind of what I see playing out as far as the ratios go. Again, though, we've talked about this many times. All the charts look pretty much the same. When the volume turns red, they all kind of go down. So it's nothing new. They're just all a little bit different positioning. But as we click through these here, you can see they're all doing the same exact thing, and it's because of the liquidity that's tied. Now, keep in mind one thing that we really haven't talked much about are the fact that there are whales sitting on the sidelines, waiting for either some good news, waiting for the opportune time. They don't mind a little bit of slippage. They don't mind some big green candles. They're not looking for the most. They're not always looking for the most liquid of tokens. They're looking for the ones that they can manipulate with a couple big green candles, defend a price, and have other people buy into it and take profits. So, this ecosystem is kind of primed for that because, it is a lower liquidity situation at this point. Once things turn around, more liquidity will be injected to the ecosystem. But right now, it doesn't take a whole lot. We just saw one dumper with 80 million hex that they sold. And now they're out. But yeah, they dumped the price pretty much by themselves. So it's not hard for a big bag holder to move the price by themselves. And hopefully the market will react to that and buy in or sell lower so that they can buy back in. So, there's a lot of whale games that are happening. It's kind of what I'm seeing right now. People are bored. People are waiting for that good news that we're talking about. And yeah, I mean, I really think that's what's happening.
I think they're waiting for you to go door to door, Ewok, and tell people about the good news.
Yeah.
The good news about Hex, the good news about PulseChain. We're waiting on you. But yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, because we're still in that part of the market where, like, if some of these people that weren't really long-term holders anyway, and if a whale is a whale, and already has, a decent amount of money, and this is just games kind of for them, then it would make sense that they would want to be getting out now if there's any, if they have any worries about anything, or the rest of the market's not here yet. I mean, it makes sense. And it also makes sense that, like, liquidity wise, with where we are in the market, their sells are going to have that much of an effect. Whereas if we had green candles everywhere and retail was back and stuff like that, we wouldn't be noticing it quite as much. So yeah, and I was going to ask, I mean, now we're here today kind of knowing the developments with what's going on with this ecosystem in terms of a certain 3-letter agency trying to throw a bunch of crap at the wall. But I was going to ask if, the dip we had over the weekend, actually, it was maybe in preparation for what we may have gotten this month with that situation, which that's now not happening, which we'll get to. But yeah, do you think there's anything to that? Because, I mean, could it maybe have just been people guessing as to what was going to happen? Because I don't know what they were guessing, but I mean, no news is good news, no news. I mean, it is what it is. So what do you make of that? I mean, because this doesn't appear, now that we know what we know today, with it being shown that they were not able to serve Richard Hart yet, and everything getting pushed back. I mean, do you think that they were just, I don't know, were they playing a guessing game? I don't know what they thought was going to happen there, but that's what did happen. So
I think so. I think they were playing a guessing game. I think they were trying to front run whatever it was that was about to happen. And, a lot of speculation. I really don't think they were going on a lot. I mean, maybe they, I doubt they had any inside information with as many people that have been monitoring the websites that, we've been watching for, pretty much as soon as it was updated, it was on Twitter. So,
Right.
I don't think they had any kind of foresight or inside scoop. However, I think they were just trying to front run the markets.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
So.
sure. Yeah, makes sense. And again, we are still in a red candle environment kind of across the entire, or not just ecosystem, but crypto entirely. So, it makes sense. I mean, we're not totally in a bull market yet. So I understand that. I think it makes sense since we are already talking about this. I was going to go to the Binance stuff, the Kraken stuff first, but let's just continue, especially because of the couple of crypto streams that seemed relevant going on this evening so far. I don't mean Matty Allen. He didn't start his yet, but I was looking just as what's been going on right now. Nobody really seems to be on and talking about this as far as from a PulseChain ecosystem, light. So let's do that.
Sure.
So Thursday last week, the 16th, the court listeners site updated the ledger to show the order to show cause. That's when we found out that it sounded as if the SEC was not able to serve Richard. So, in other words, so the 27-page complaint that they submitted apparently didn't do a good enough job either, because that doesn't, that on its own isn't going to stand. The judge isn't going to be interested in pursuing anything beyond that. And you have to obviously serve the defendant. So anyway, the plaintiff needed to file proof of service no later than today, 11/21, just a little bit before 5 o'clock today. They were not able to do it. And essentially said that they now have until the 15th of December to move forward with to continue to try to serve him for like 3 more weeks. And if not, they can go with an alternative service after that in accordance with Rule 4F of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, which is where we get into this. I guess it's actually called like the Hague. It's from a Hague conference, but it states serving an individual in a foreign country. So that's what it's actually about. They presume that they know where he is. I guess they don't so far. But unless federal law provides otherwise, an individual other than a minor, incompetent person, blah, 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 or a person whose waiver has been filed may be served at a place not within any judicial district of the United States. So in other words, it sounds like you can just kind of go rogue and do whatever you want anyway, even though they're not in the United States.
Right.
But by any internationally agreed terms of service that is reasonably calculated to give notice. I mean, it's a lot. I'm not going to bore everybody by reading it, but essentially they have until 12/15 TLDR to try with the means that they have been failing with. And then after that, they can invoke this Hague thing. And then they would have until, so everybody was focused on November the 28th as a phone conference. That's now going to be January the 30th of 2024. That's already been set by the judge. And I believe it is January 24th that they will need to have, I think it was the 24th of January that they'll need to show that they served their defendant. So anyway, long story short, as most things in court, regardless of what kind of court you're in, hurry up and wait, everything gets pushed back, and the plaintiff was unable to serve the defendant. So what do you make of this, Ewok? I'm just going to leave it open to you. That's pretty much all the updates. So if you guys didn't see any of that on Twitter, there you go, in video and audio form. So what do you make of it?
Well, a couple things. The greedy side of me wants this to start and get over with.
Yeah.
The part of me that doesn't really care, or I'm content waiting, I think I would prefer to drag it out as long as possible. Now, I hate to say that. I don't want to go too far into the bull market. Obviously, we don't want to miss that. However, we might a little bit. But I think it sets a lot of precedent when there's all these other things happening that can be used to our advantage. There's a Coinbase lawsuit. There's a there's the Kraken, there's the whole Binance thing, how that's going to shake out. There's other things, all these tokens that are being listed as securities. There's just so many things happening I think it would be good to have some of those play out to get some precedent to go based on. We already know that Ripple pretty much won their case, so that's good. And I think Coinbase, let them spend the money, right? Let them defend themselves to see how that plays out in order to see what can possibly come of it. So, I'm on both sides. Like I kind of doesn't matter. I don't think there's a whole lot of news. I think we're all making more out of it than what it really is. Especially as far as price goes, people are afraid, and I get it. I completely understand. But no matter what happens in court, it doesn't change the protocol. It doesn't change the fact that these things are still working. PulseChain is over, what are we at, 50,000 validators yet? I think we're pushing it.
Got to be right around there. Yeah.
Across the world. So that's about as decentralized as you can get. The Hex contract still runs fantastic on both chains. PulseX, buy and burn. There's not a whole lot of volume, but it works. Yes, we don't have the single-sided staking, which a bunch of people are still crying about. But if you want to stake so badly, stake your Hex. Like, I don't understand. None of this stuff is affected with anything that Richard does. We've got all our front ends are decentralized. There's multiple options. I think we're in such a great position for being in the position that we're in, just waiting. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, there's two sides. You can look at it both ways. Are you greedy? You want it just to be done, pay a settlement and move on. But then you don't really get any kind of ruling. Then they can circle back in 6 months and say, hey, we don't like the way you look today. We're going to charge you another $30 million, just like they're doing with Kraken. It's almost like the mafia is back, extorting money from these people if they don't like what you're doing. And that's exactly what just happened. Kraken just paid $30 million to them in February. And here we are again. Now they're coming back for more. And, it's sad. I think it's very sad, especially from these organizations that aren't even elected. And that's part of the problem part of what I see there's a problem with. They're all designated office people. And, maybe it would be best to wait for the new administration. That's a good play too. So,
well, not only are they not elected, but they're only in the United States. That's the thing that we forget. I mean, with legacy finance scams that are just within the United States, it's like, okay, well, that's within our country. But some of these products, especially real DeFi, not that I support anything that they're doing going after the exchanges, but exchanges are not decentralized. I mean, we're talking about like real DeFi, and people that invest in those can be anywhere in the world. I mean, I know that exchanges are in different countries throughout the world, but there's definitely more of a choke point on those than there are with DeFi. So, I mean, for them to make decisions like that unilaterally for the entire world, it's not going to make anybody want to stay in the United States for any kind of innovation of anything. And then you look at all of these, and we'll get specifically to the Binance one, but you look up there at that stage and you see a bunch of old people, shocker, that, haven't innovated anything like any of this stuff in their lives, and are just up there making rules on it and basically just calling what they're doing, which is extortion, a fine. And, everything that they do is right, and everything that anybody in crypto does is wrong.
And on top of it, they're trying to regulate a system that is doing things the right way. Meanwhile, their system is what's really broken, right?
Yes.
The financial system that they have in place is broken beyond belief. And they're trying to tell us how to run one. And it's like, no, thanks. We don't really want your help. Look what you've done. Look at the economy. Look at the inflation. Look how you've mismanaged that. We really don't want the help. So, there's that too.
It's why this entire thing exists. It's why Bitcoin exists. It's why it was created to begin with, because of the devaluation of the dollar and what goes on with other countries' currencies. So,
Yeah.
yet again, I mean, like all these departments really not helping or saving any investors whatsoever. I mean, look, if you are somebody, I saw a lot of people today, and I guess kudos to them for trying to help, but like these big crypto accounts saying like, "Hey, I've told you guys if you have anything left on Binance, you need to get it off right now." What are you doing with it on there anyway? And that's
Right.
something that people still don't understand. We're a year out from FTX. I mean, literally a calendar year ago, we were talking before the show. I guess once a year we're going to have a figurehead from one of these exchanges go down. So Brian Armstrong, you've got 2024 maybe. But every year something like this is happening, and it's like, when are people? I don't think they ever will. Being a fan of DeFi and seeing that people are not understanding this stuff enough, when will they get the notice that like we shouldn't be leaving our stuff on exchanges? Again, I don't blame CZ for this. I don't, harbor any ill will against Binance or anything like that. But more so just the lawmakers who are continuing to not provide any kind of clarity and extort people that are actually innovating stuff so they can make more money than their meager politician wages pay.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I also think part of this has to go back to FTX. We kind of speculate that there was some inner workings with the politicians in the FTX. What they were planning, who knows? Maybe they were planning that to be the exchange that the government kind of got their fingers into. And CZ was one of the people that helped kind of essentially hurry that along, and expose what was going on. And that's when it crashed. So I think some of this is payback for that. They went after him hard
yeah.
after kind of ruining their plans, So, make sure you guys have options as far as on and off ramps go. I wouldn't just have one. Get a backup plan, get your shit off the exchanges, but use them so that you're not really inactive user where you start putting money in and they're going to freeze you. So, make sure that you are using it, make sure it's active, but make sure you have a backup too.
Yeah. Yeah, totally agree, 100%. But yeah, that's kind of where we are as far as the PulseChain ecosystem stuff. So I mean, yeah, I'm to and to what you were saying earlier, Ewok, I totally agree. I'm not worried at all. It's more opportunities to buy the dip. Like if this was happening, if we were in the bull market yet, which I understand we're in a new cycle. I think we're in the bull market really. But I mean, if we were in bullish times right now, this stuff wouldn't really matter that much, and things would be going up. People wouldn't be thinking about it. Like this is going to continue to go on and take months and years, just like the Ripple stuff did. Except this is actual real crypto and real DeFi and a better product than what Ripple had with XRP. So yeah, I mean, I don't care at all. I think this is probably the most likely scenario that they would be so inept that they couldn't even find him, and their corruption will continue, and we'll just have this be pushed out forever. So, what do you make of that? I saw somebody tweet this earlier, but like, whether it's a strategy or not, or whatever you want to say, but just the idea that continuing to be pushed out while the SEC, all these other entities go after these actual exchanges and stuff like that. It could be good that this continues to be pushed out while like the big boys that everybody actually knows and almost has to use with these different exchanges to at least onboard. Maybe it's best to let this stuff play out first and let the SEC continue to like rack up losses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And just for more clarity to happen and for Gensler to be ousted out of office, because as we've talked about the last few weeks, there's even dissent within the SEC. I never remember her name, Hester Pierce. I almost want to say Hester Prynne because is that the name of the chick? I think
Yes.
Is Hester Prynne the girl, the woman that's in the Scarlet Letter? Somebody help me out with that. I haven't read that book since I was in high school. But yeah, I don't think it's the girl from the Scarlet Letter, but it is Hester Pierce, and we know that there's dissent within the SEC, and that nobody really likes Gary Gensler. So, what do you make of that? That like, again, I'm not saying that there's any strategy at play here or anything, but the longer that this does go on, while other bigger cases that are actually happening and people know about are having precedents set and things like that, much like the XRP case, which was already ruled in favor of XRP. What do you make of that? Is because to me, it's a good thing to get these out of the way. If he's going to do it. So
yeah, that's what I was saying. Let's get some precedent already. But something else I saw today a little bit earlier, what I didn't realize is how many of the major investors, like the Vanguards and the BlackRocks and those guys are the top 10 investors in Coinbase are those people.
Right.
I forget what the other one was. ARK Investments, Vanguard, BlackRock. I think those were like the top 3 or 4. So if there's going to be a safe one, I think it's that one. They've already been chosen to custody the BlackRock ETF if it gets approved. I think that one might be safe. One we haven't heard anything about, and I'm almost hesitant to say it, is crypto.com. There's been nothing on that one. And they're all over the place. Well, you see the UFC fights and they're sponsored everywhere, and Super Bowl ads, things like that. So haven't heard them brought up once. So either they're really staying with the regulations, which is, I guess, a good thing, or flying under the radar somehow.
I actually forgot they existed. Like when I hear about them, I don't even think about crypto.com for some reason. So
I like it. I have I have it as one of my accounts. I've got a couple because you never know, but I like it. It's a decent platform. You can use, especially with the Visa that they have. You can throw USDC in there and just spend it at any Visa place that there is. So one of the benefits of it. I think Coinbase has a very similar thing too, but yeah, I mean, it's convenient.
We're not, and a disclaimer here, we are not, this is not brought to you by crypto.com. And that was Ewok's individual, just a little promotion there. So if you want to use crypto.com, go ahead. I have never used it. I don't even have an account there. I've always been more of a fan of Kraken and Coinbase. So I guess I just like the bad boys. I like to go after the bad boys, Ewok. So
yeah, I want to address Glyph when he says it's an old project. Dude, this is the second cycle.
I don't know if that's what he, real quick, just to clarify, I'm not sure if he was calling Hex that. I know
earlier he is, because he said something about me being married to my bags. Well, of course I am. I want to push yours. Tell me what you have so I can advertise for you, buddy.
Some gaming. Why don't you
make a channel and do it yourself?
Exactly. Make your own channel. Make your crypto gaming channel.
Gaming, AI, and RWA. I don't even know what is RWA. I don't even know what that is. No one gives a shit about
assets. Yeah, real world assets. Everybody, has been claiming that like AI, real world. I can't not say that. Apparently, real world assets are going to be the big thing this cycle. I know Arthur Hayes is all about AI, but
nobody cares.
I mean, he's naming themes, not tokens. So, look, this isn't a dick measuring contest, and I'm not. If some of those sectors do well, so be it. But our point and the reason we talk about this ecosystem is because we believe it's the best. It's not as if like many other tokens, we were paid to talk about them like everybody else seemingly in crypto YouTube. This is just an organic channel, much like the other Hex and PulseChain channels. So we talk about it because we looked at it and objectively thought it was the best, not because somebody came to us telling us to say it was the best. So that's just the way it is. But anyway, I mean, you're welcome to comment, but yeah.
No, I got nothing else to say.
Well, I mean you, I mean him. But you're welcome to comment. But there you go. Put a bow on that. I mean, hurry up and wait. I mean, so the end of January apparently is when this thing may take place. Who cares? I'm going to be investing in it along the way. We're already at 2x up off of the lows, basically. And continue to DCA in with a little bit of that Christmas money here coming up. And Christmas bonuses, whatever you guys got. So if you have any questions on that or comments about it as the show goes on, please do let us know, though. We know it just came out a little while ago, and a lot of people have been posting about it on Twitter. So if you guys are here and enjoying the stream so far, do us a favor, hit the like. We very much appreciate it. We do this every single Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So really digging into the SEC, the DOJ, the Treasury today. And again, the mafia, as you said, Ewok, that went off after Binance today and CZ. Obviously, we've known about these stories building up. They announced at 10 a.m. today that they were going to take major action against a crypto entity later this afternoon. And the news leaked out before 3 p.m. that it was going to be Binance, who, this might be the more surprising result, is I don't know if people thought that they were going to settle, number one, and settle for the $4.3 billion, and CZ resigns amid money laundering allegations. I put in my notes here, and we can talk about this too, about this. I think this is literally what it is. Dog and pony show for elites to get in before an ETF approval. They just knocked out one of their biggest competitors that was going to be in the U.S. in Binance. So yeah, I mean, like, I think there's an opportunity for all of them to buy the dip and get their Bitcoin ETF that every fucker on crypto Twitter is celebrating for whatever reason. Every Bitcoin person is really happy about this ETF. And more TradFi people just entering the ecosystem with a bastardized index fund. But yeah, what do you make of this, Ewok? Collusion to bring down. I have nothing against CZ. I know people, on many sides of the aisle have been for or against him over the years, but he's been an innovator. He's made the biggest exchange in the world. And I think it sucks to see him go, but c'est la vie,
Yeah. Well, my feelings aren't hurt, but the one thing that, that I think that you still have to keep in mind is Operation Choke Point is still in effect. I think they're trying to narrow it down to where the only people that exist anymore are the ones that will really, truly cooperate and do whatever the government says. And maybe he wasn't willing to play ball. He wasn't, obviously, because, he had his what was it? The AML, the anti-money laundering accusations that were in there. And he got hit with the Privacy Act by keeping his people's information private. Kind of, a little conundrum there, but I think that, they're trying to choke out as many players that aren't willing to play ball with the government, so that they can, get as much control of this ecosystem as they possibly can.
Yeah, I'm with you. Sorry, I was just replying to somebody. Funny, I was watching you on the YouTube live stream, not on StreamYard, so I didn't know you were done talking there. Yeah, so it does really suck. It's something that I noticed today. So it was a yawn fest, so I had to turn it off eventually. But yeah, I was listening to the DOJ and Miss Yellen, who was ravishing, I thought, today on the stage. But the woman from the DOJ, and I forget her name, but she was talking about Binance, and she said, this is a shot across the bow or a stark warning for DeFi companies was the actual terminology that she used. Right. So once again, I mean, like, you can tell these people don't even really understand what they're talking about. They don't know what DeFi even is. And just the fact to literally say DeFi company, it's an oxymoron. I mean, they don't even understand what they're talking about.
No, they don't.
But I do think the message is clear, though, is maybe one year, whenever they figure out what DeFi is, they are coming after that as well. And sure. I don't know. I mean, obviously, we know that. We just talked about it. But what does that actually look like? I mean, what can they do to actually shut that down? They can't, because if that's the thing, if there's something that's real DeFi, and there was a great comment earlier, Jay Benny said it, and then somebody else, I think it was Wall to Wall TV. Yeah. Real DeFi down 99%, fake DeFi dumped less. So yeah, I mean, and that's one of the things we're going to talk about. There was a fantastic stream the other day. Man, this Frank Molina cat is just all over the place in the Hex and PulseChain ecosystem. But he was on the other day with Crypto Coffee, and he made a great point about how, and this kind of goes for most of crypto, but you're going to see dips like this to this level because this isn't legacy finance. There is nobody coming to bail you out, nobody coming to save you, nobody in cahoots and saving each other, unless you're like FTX and Alameda or something like that. But that wasn't real crypto again. So when you look at real DeFi, I mean, we say this all the time, but volatility is the price you pay for the gains we can get here. So what do you make of their lack of understanding, though, of what DeFi even is and how they can really even go about coming after that? Because it seems to be that, what they're saying here after this conference about Binance, that may be what they're trying to do.
Well, I think they're going in the order of most users at a time. And once they do get to actual DeFi, they're going to be lost. I really think they're not going to know which way to turn, hopefully. And the people that are doing it the right way, they're going to be like, okay, now what kind of situation? I don't know that there's a whole lot that can be done. What people need to be building now are ways to, I don't know that you can really build it, but I mean, we need to transact in the tokens that we want to use amongst each other, and it's going to be a difficult thing because people don't want to spend their crypto. That's kind of the problem. And once things are shut down, like all your on ramps and off ramps, which I saw somebody bring up OX Coast. I like those guys, and I think it's going to be a great addition. They've been adding things left and right to PulseChain, to the onboarding process for PulseChain. They're working hard, and they're working on solutions. I've seen a couple. It hasn't been 100% flawless. I will admit that they've had a couple hiccups, but your bank is involved. They can still shut your account down. So I think it was one of the things that the money that was trying to get transferred in got held by the bank, and it wasn't by Coast. So, but anyway, I got sidetracked. I think they're going to work pecking order. You know what I mean? What they consider most important, all the way down to the DeFi products, which, like I said, once they get there, I think they're going to hit many roadblocks, especially with the ones that are true DeFi. So I think they've got their work cut out for them. And I think the longer that we can drag this out, and again, it goes back to the precedent on some of the cases. Let's let them play out. Maybe by then they'll give up.
Yeah. Well, yes. And again, also changes in leadership with Gary Gensler maybe being out of there by the time Trump takes office in 2025, or whatever it may be. So or Vivek, viewers, whatever, whoever it may be, or Joe Biden. Let's be all equal opportunity offenders here. So, so that kind of sums up the Binance one. I mean, we're not going to spend too much time on it because we know everybody else in all of crypto is going to be spending time on it for weeks ahead, maybe 2 weeks, and then we'll totally forget about this. It sucks to see CZ go, but I think he'll be all right. He's still I think he's got $13 billion still to his name.
Yeah,
so.
He's still got CoinMarketCap to mess with too. Keeping us. I did look today when Rags to Riches was doing a stream, and he brought it up and how we were locked at 201. So I checked it out. We're actually at 209.
So we fell further.
Yeah, we fell further.
Wow. Unbelievable. Can't catch a break here. Can't catch a break. Doesn't really matter. Obviously, we don't care. But so let's take a look at the other piece of news. So as far as other exchanges, Kraken last night, I couldn't even believe my ears on this one because I knew in the back of my mind that they had just been sued earlier this year by the SEC. Sure enough, Kraken, which has always been one of my favorite exchanges as well. Really easy to get in and out of there. And I really like Jesse Powell, who heads it up. But sued again by the SEC last night before all this news came out today. Last time that they were sued by the SEC, it was for them having tokens to stake on their platform. So basically allowing these unregistered securities, which nobody's actually proven whether they are securities or not yet at all. Actually, they've only proven that XRP is a commodity so far, or that it isn't a security anyway. But that was the last time that Kraken got sued because you could stake your crypto on there and they were offering products like that. Now, we wouldn't have obviously encouraged anybody to do that kind of thing anyway, because obviously you're not really holding those tokens at that point. So whatever. I'm still not in favor of them getting sued, but definitely not a practice you would want to be getting involved with. So the SEC filed a complaint alleging that Kraken operates as an unregistered national securities exchange now. Basically, I believe that's pretty much the charge that they're going against Coinbase with too, broker and clearinghouse. They're doing this because they know they're about to fail yet again on another case, possibly, just like they did with XRP. The minute that XRP was lost is when we saw the whole issue and lawsuit with our ecosystem. So immediately suing more people after they take a loss. I mean, it seems like a trend that they do. But what happens to Kraken here as they and Coinbase are, again, now both under attack and have been, for my money, literally the most trusted exchanges out there. I know you mentioned crypto.com. I know I don't hear much about Gemini at all anymore. The Winklevi kind of turned into a weird cover band or something like that for a little while. But yeah, and again, and another piece of that, the SEC, just like they did with Coinbase before, then goes on in that lawsuit to list like the same 8 to 10 tokens that don't include PulseChain or anything, that are, or Chainlink, which is always not in there, but it's basically like the top 8 to 10 tokens by market cap, saying that they're all securities, even though they've never proven that in court at all. And XRP wasn't on the list, I believe, because they know that they lost already. Yeah, saying all that without ever proving that they are or anything. So what do you make of this? Going after Kraken the second time? I think you told me the last one was in February of this year, and now doing it yet again. And I'll get your thoughts, and then I want to pull up Jesse Powell's tweet from Kraken on this, because it was a very good one. Go ahead.
Well, at some point, you've got to get fed up with it. I mean, DJ and Moonboy here makes a good statement. Do you just put money aside so that you can pay these guys when the time comes? It's like, putting it aside for the mafia. Or do you get fed up and do you move your country or move to another country? I mean, I can totally see that happening as well. Now that doesn't, CZ was in China, obviously. Now I know Binance US was kind of came off of that in order to get the US citizens, whatever. I don't know. I don't know where they go from here. I mean, at some point you've got to get fed up giving these guys $30 million every time they come around knocking on the door. I think it gets frustrating. I think they possibly move to another country and say, screw this, it's not worth it anymore. And here we go again, where they're stifling these companies or people that are, they're trying to be better, to improve things in the financial world. And of course, that's the way we see it. It affects their financial system. They don't like that. But yeah, I really don't know. I don't know what their next step is. I think they were at one point doing enough volume where the $30 million was not a whole lot to them. Right. And I think the first time they just paid it. They didn't really fight. I think we could possibly see them joining forces, maybe. I think a lot of these companies would benefit them to join forces, as long as everything's on the up and up. That's another thing too. Some companies aren't going to want to get involved with other companies because maybe they don't like the way they do business or whatever it may be. But
right.
This is something to be said for joining forces. We'll have to see.
Definitely, yeah. Jesse Powell, Brian Armstrong team up, become the Crypto Power Rangers or something. But here was Jesse Powell earlier on Twitter. He said USA's top D-cell is back with another assault on America. The masochists haven't been happy with the beatings they've been taking in New York and are shopping for a different flavor of Reg Dom in California. I thought we settled all their concerns for $30 million in February. Now they're back for seconds. And then he goes on to say, message is clear. $30 million buys you about 10 months before the SEC comes around to extort you again. Lawyers can do a lot with $30 million, but the SEC knows what a real fight will likely cost. That will likely cost $100 million and valuable time. If you can't afford it, get your crypto company out of the U.S. war zone. Bingo. So yeah, that's what they're doing here in the United States, pushing innovation away to wherever else. And again, the thing is, the reason it's so terrible and so clear that it's terrible is that they're just going after everybody, and they're not providing any rules. They're basically just using, it's funny today, somebody from the DOJ or some other person just parroting bullshit on the stage today said, it's a saying in the tech world. This was her big dramatic moment. It's a saying in the tech world to move fast and break things. Well, today we saw, and then she had some like dumb dramatic mic drop moment, but, it appears to me that what the SEC and these entities are doing are moving fast and breaking things and not actually establishing any ruling for anybody. They're just suing people, seeing what judges end up thinking. And in the most significant cases, they've gotten their ass whooped. So, I mean, I don't know what their approach is, but what do you make about this second attempt at going at Kraken? And I don't know. I mean, Jesse Powell and Kraken are fighting this one for sure. So what do you make of this?
Well, that's what I said. I don't know which they do. I don't know if they just pay the fine or up and leave, because he did say that too. I didn't read the tweet that you just read off, but he mentions it. Do we just leave?
Right.
That's what I think.
It sucks to say. It really sucks.
Yeah.
It's a real downer, especially living in this country. But I guess it's just one of those things. Like every time we're having these discussions, and it seems like 2 steps forward and then maybe 1 step forward, 2 steps back. It seems like we're going through the adoption of the internet again, where it's like just fighting and all this innovation is going on, and all these old people are trying to suppress it and don't understand it and don't want anything to do with it. And they're people who would never even use this technology and have already gotten rich with old systems by cheating, frankly. So it's just so frustrating. Yeah. But when does it end? I mean, I don't know.
One thing we can be thankful for, I guess, right now is that none of the PulseChain or Hex is listed on any of these big exchanges.
Yeah, thankfully.
So you be careful what you wish for when you say, why aren't you listed on any big exchanges? Well, with what's going on, it probably wouldn't be a wise thing to do right now. So, I think trying to keep the ecosystem moving along, staying decentralized, teaching people how to do it the right way. I think that appears to be the smartest way to keep moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. It just sucks that in this country that used to be a bastion of innovation, they're doing everything to crush it, keep people at home, and give them government benefits so they can shut up and not work.
Right.
But that's just where we're at right now. And yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, obviously we have a presidential election coming up next year. We'll see if there's any kind of shift in tides there. But boy, sad state of affairs as far as the people in this country that are leading it. So we shall see. Let's see here. Yeah, great comment here. Oh, did you just have that up? My bad.
Yep.
I didn't do that. Armando, yeah. SEC, IRS, Feds, FBI, CIA. There's no honor amongst thieves. 3-letter entities are all corrupt. Totally agree.
Sure. Yep.
Totally agree. That's where we are now. All right. So that covers the Kraken one. I mean, again, everybody gets a lawsuit, but kind of summing this whole thing up now, 50 minutes into the show tonight. Do U.S. entities going after all these exchanges, and we've talked about like Operation Choke Point, does it choke out the ability to move in and out of crypto? Because that's the thing. You and I were having this at our little fireside chat the other night. Like when the bull market comes, and this is a discussion that I wanted to frankly have a long one here tonight, but I don't know if we're going to have the time tonight, but we're going to have it, about being prepared when not only when the bull market is here, but when we're getting towards like the top and wanting to scale out of this market, because it is so fast on the way up and on the way down that you're just out of there. Look at how long we've been suffering. It's been 2 years now that everybody's been suffering that's been in this market. And we're just waiting on something to go up, sometime to eventually take profit. And you have to have a plan in place. And it just seems like it might be getting harder if you're like most people watching this and like us invested in DeFi to the point where you want to move a little bit into some stables, throw it onto an exchange, pull it out, that's what she said, and then eventually maybe get back in the market. Are you going to be able to do that? How many exchanges are you going to have to be able to offboard yourself? Obviously, if you're still dealing with trash fiat, make sure you have some bank accounts linked to these exchanges. I would have multiple, of course. But yeah, what if there's just not too many ways to get out? And then we also talked about like limit orders, like not limit orders, but limit, spending limits that you can sell at one time. What do you think? I mean, because I'll be honest with you, as much doom and gloom as we have been on this show tonight, because it's a shitty day. I think a lot of this just goes away when the bull market comes back. I just think like when the green candles come back, Gensler maybe gets fired, and the SEC starts focusing on other things. They leave crypto alone for 2 years while we get our freak on. You know what I mean? Yep. And then in the bear market again next time, hey, then they'll bend everybody over real hard again. But I just get the feeling that like when green candles come, they'll hightail it out of here.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
It all goes away. Yeah, I mean, having a couple plans. I mean, so one of the big things I think is that's most important is not putting money into one stable coin, one type of stable coin. We know that Circle has USDC tied up. They could invalidate that. USDT. What? How many millions of that just got frozen the other day
I saw that.
because
Yeah.
they didn't like what that user was doing? Um, I still think DAI is probably one of the safer options as far as keeping it in a stable coin. There's also I think UST, that is
The
something trust.
Terra. No, I'm just
N-
kidding. Not that one.
No, it's a trust token that's tied
Mm,
to a bunch of equities and things like that. I forget. Funding Jim talks about it a lot as well.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the most important things. And if you don't have the off ramp set, you're going to want to be in some stable coins. And again, I wouldn't keep them all on the same one just to be safe. You never know. It's like making one big transaction TUSD. Thanks, Johnny.
There you go.
Um, it's like making one big transaction and hoping it goes through rather than doing it little bits at a time, to be safe. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that obviously we need to kind of focus on too. I think what BUSD has been shut down as well. So the stable coins are kind of getting few and far between of ones that could be trusted anyway. Um, and if there is such a thing with some of these companies, like you said, there is an on and off switch. They can freeze your wallet if they want to with them and invalidate those tokens. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. And we will get into like more talk on like profit taking and stuff like that in the bull market. I think as things pick up, we just had such a blast of news today that it was harder to get into. But we're not done yet. So if you guys are here and enjoying the stream, do us a favor, hit the like. We appreciate it. Subscribe to the Creative Crypto channel. We do this every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and kind of like to model ourselves after. Hey, I'm not comparing ourselves to Patrick Bet David or what he has going on there, but I think we do a good job of kind of just going over what's going on in the markets overall, looking at it from 1,000-foot view, and just giving our takes on it anyway. So, we wanted to talk about this. I'm trying to jump around here because we had a few different things left here. I think we'd be remiss if we didn't mention that the Tetra Dex has finally launched on PulseChain. So I know that maybe there wasn't as much fanfare with Tetra as some of the other things that have launched. I know Piteous, which is the correct pronunciation of that Dex aggregator. But Piteous, as well as, people have been fever pitch about liquid loans, the pH stuff, all that stuff. Tetra didn't get as much fanfare, but we looked into it a little bit this week, Ewok, and found some really interesting things. So basically Tetra is the overall name of about 3 or 4 different products in one. And first off, you have to understand what Omnis is, which is the actual DEX aggregator. So
Right.
Omnis is the Tetra DEX aggregator. The cool thing here, though, is that is unique, and you and I talked about it the other day. I saw Crypto Coffee tweeting about it. And shout out to RH Max. It was actually his short 15-minute clip with, and I'm sorry, I don't know his name, but the head of or the creator of Tetra the other day that got me educated on it. But you actually have the ability to swap up to 5 tokens for one. Also, PulseChain limit orders, which is a very good thing to have, of course, and actually using limit orders, which I know you wanted to talk about, Ewok, manage liquidity and more. Omnis was basically designed to make the PulseChain experience more efficient, so you can just swap more than one. There's something called Atlas within the Tetra ecosystem, which is just the Web3 front end of Tetra. It's a dashboard basically that lets you look at everything in your Tetra account. I'm not going to profess to know everything about it yet, but let's first off just talk about this Omnis product, though. The DEX aggregator, swapping 5 tokens up for one, the limit orders. What do you make of that, Ewok, and how bullish are you on that?
I think it's awesome. If you've got that many different tokens where you want to transfer into one, makes it super simple. I was looking at it the other day, checking it out, and I haven't tried it yet. I don't know how well it works, but the theory behind it is pretty damn cool. It gives you your best route, and I'm not sure. I think pretty sure it points to just like Piteous does. I
Thank
think
you.
that
Finally submits.
I'm still
Thank
going to
you.
call it Piteous because it sounds better.
All right. You're doing me wrong.
But either way, yeah, I'm pretty sure that it points to all the exchanges. So it breaks up the liquidity, gets you your best path. It
Mhm.
looks like an awesome feature. Now the one I'm more excited about was the other one that you didn't even mention. And I don't know, are you going
Stratus?
there? Yeah,
Yeah.
where you can combine different smart contracts, like set it up to do different things. For us who have hex stakes, you don't want to forget to claim your communis. You don't want to forget to claim your hedron. So I'm thinking there's got to be a way to run that functionality to do all three in that order, so you don't forget.
Mhm.
I think that would be pretty cool. And yes, obviously limit orders are one of the biggest things that people don't talk about.
Mhm.
Using it, especially when the prices are running up, you can set a limit order, set your fee, and not affect any of the green candles. Really, I mean, you set your limit order, and as the price is going up, it will just fill and fill and fill, rather than dumping the market and causing a big red candle that's unnecessary. Set a limit
Mhm.
order and be patient. Let it fill. Not to mention, most limit orders, you don't have to pay a fee. I don't know how
Right.
this one is. I haven't seen, it's obviously not running yet, but you can save a lot of fees, and especially on Ethereum chain, if you can find a place to set limit orders there, um, why pay that extra gas fee if you don't need to?
Well, we
People
did have, what was it called? Why am I forgetting what
Well,
matcha?
matcha.xyz, but they've
They got rid of
pulled,
Hex.
yeah, they got rid of Hex. So,
Yeah. Fuck them.
yeah, exactly. I mean, so I just think it's a very underutilized tool that we have that could definitely help from some of these major 60-70% dips at certain levels. um, you just got to have a little bit of patience, so yeah, that's definitely something that we're going to want to talk about as we get to that portion of the cycle, making sure that people don't forget about the limits.
Definitely, and I am really glad that they're making that. It's a really cool concept to be able to swap up to 5 for 1 in one move like that. It seems like what Tetra is really doing is kind of
Yeah.
capitalizing on what PulseChain already is, which are cheaper fees, more
Mhm.
efficient, easier to do things. Tetra's upping that another notch by allowing you to do all this stuff. So I'm really excited about it. And again, something that we've really, I don't think ever talked about. And, I had heard of it, but didn't know much about it. So kudos to these guys. I'm excited to check it out. I would like to use their DEX aggregator as well, because I've been using Piteous a shit ton really when I do my buys. So,
Yeah,
yeah, really
and
looking
that
forward
works well
to that.
too. Like
Yeah,
you haven't had any problems
definitely.
with that at all, have you?
Never at all. I
No.
love using it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can see what I like about them is at the bottom, whenever you do it, I mean, it does the whole breakdown of like, well, this
Yeah.
much is going to happen on Pulse X,
It
this much is going to
maps it
happen
out for
here.
you.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Smooth as silk for sure on Piteous there. And hopefully we'll be on Omnis as well. Speaking
Piteous.
of, oh, go ahead.
No, I said Piteous.
Oh, okay. Well, to each his own. Let's move on to this one. I'll pronounce it liquid loans. If you if you want to call it liquid loans. I figure we check this in. I know nothing. I saw Humberto asked about this a moment ago. Do you know anything or have any? I haven't been watching Walrus lately. It's just been a busy week basically, so I'm not sure what's going on with liquid loans. I do know the last time we spoke about it was right at the end of October, and it sounded like, oh yeah, like a weekend in November they should be live,
Yep.
and we're still not there. So
I know.
I'm not going to profess to know anything, so I have
Yeah,
no
I don't
clue.
know much more than that either. I haven't heard any updates. I know people are getting decently upset
Yeah.
that sacrificed. They said they wanted to wait for the markets to kind of stable out a little bit. One of the last things you want to do is create a token or an ecosystem like that where things are still so very volatile. It could be very dangerous. They may be doing people a favor by not launching when there are still massive dips where people will end up getting liquidated and lose everything because they just don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to whatever. They don't know how to back their loan properly. Collateralize. They under collateralize their loans, things like that, and people are going to get wrecked. So they might be doing people a favor thinking that the markets would have settled down by now, but you go back to something that Richard said too, was I like to launch in a bear market and you've got 50 weeks to shake out the losers. Well, we're what, 25, 26 weeks in right now. So
halfway.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case where you really do have 50 weeks, we're only halfway there. So yeah, I hope it doesn't take them that long. And unfortunately, sometimes a fool gets parted with their money way too easily. True. And you kind of just want to do it, and we'll see. But no, I haven't heard any updates. I haven't heard anything lately. I haven't really seen Walrus on any streams. I've been really busy, so I haven't caught many streams lately. So,
well, that's no excuse for you. I'm sorry.
I know. But I don't have anything. I haven't heard any updates or anything like that.
Well, he has. I do see. I'm subscribed to him. I have, unlike you, apparently, I have seen him popping up there. So I know he is still making content and not likely giving updates. But I'm the same as you. I haven't really been watching any. So yeah, we'll see. I understand the frustration. One thing I will say, I don't want to get way into the weeds on this, but I think that this shows a very low likelihood. Not that we'll have a need for this ever again. I mean, PulseChain kind of was like the big final thing to launch that had a sacrifice phase. But all of these other products adopting that mentality and doing sacrifice phases, I don't think we're going to see that again. I don't mean necessarily ever in crypto or, whether or not from Richard Hart, but certainly not from these other things building on a blockchain. I just don't think we're going to see that happen again because they haven't done well. Like, have you seen the, I know they're copying my name, Boi Crypto, but the BBC price of the 9-inch token, like the main token, I guess, for 9-inch, it's like,
death.
Way down. Yeah. Way down. So, and I'm not saying anything negative about them. I'm not saying anything negative about 9-inch or anything. I mean, at least they have launched and all that. But I mean, when people have their funds tied up for this long and it takes so long to get out, I think we are seeing what happens. I mean,
you're seeing the product. Yeah, you're seeing the product of that. And yeah, people get tired of, they're not made. Well, that's another reason why you aren't seeing Hex right now do well. People are not willing to delay gratification. They're just not.
No.
Unfortunately, those are until they start to see how well it turns out, which I'm hoping that's the case. I think that's really what it's going to take. People that are staking for 2,000, 3,000 days or whatever, and one stake cashing out, delayed gratification, peel off the yield and restake it again. Until that happens, people have such a lottery ticket mentality where they just can't sit back and be content not doing anything and earning yield. I don't understand it, but that's all I got.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I would be a hypocrite, and I'll say this right now, including today. And not that I took any action on it, I never do. But I would be a hypocrite if I didn't say I've had like some really shitty days in this market over the last couple of years psychologically. I mean, who hasn't? Why wouldn't you? The key is can you be strong? Are you going to be a bitch boy or are you going
Or
to be
a
a
rich
rich
boy.
That's what we've been saying. And are you going to have the cojones or the mental fortitude or whatever it is you need to do or want to call it during those moments of weakness to stay in the market? Because you know objectively that the moment that you click sell down anything, but especially down 85, 90%, it's an objectively bad decision. I mean, you
Yep.
know, once you lock that in, you've locked it in and there's no going back. So it's perfectly natural to have these emotions and things like that, but acting on them in any direction. You know, I'm not even saying that you necessarily, and I'm not telling anybody what to do, but for us even, we don't even have to necessarily buy, you know, if we're a little bit worried one day. Now, I totally have. There's hasn't been a day gone, but I'm emptied of everything's out there. But you know, it's okay to not make a choice if your mind is all over the place in uncertain times. But that means holding, which is still likely winning in the long run.
Yep.
So I think that's something that people need to remember is like holding is still winning. You know, we have a long way to go still to get out of this. And that is part of the beauty of Hex. I know we talk about it all the time, but I mean, you know, you talk about just preventing yourself from selling, knowing that it's an objectively bad decision. Think about it when you're staked out like that and you're going to lose it all. You lose the principal, you lose everything.
Yeah.
If you hit in stake. Makes it an even easier decision for me not to do anything.
It protects you from yourself, and those bad moments of thoughts that you can have. So.
Right. Yep. It happens. Yeah, Mr. Chinks, I'm guilty for selling on emotion. I sold my APPL. Apple on emotions. It's not easy conviction. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's very difficult. I distinctly remember FTX day last year. This one doesn't hurt anywhere near as bad, but I you know, today was weird. There's been bad times. I remember Terra Luna last May, 2 Mays ago. So we're still in it, but we're on the back end. And all I can say is you got to find other things to do in the meantime and other things to put your effort into in life, whatever, to make it through these times, you know. So let's wrap up with these two things. And we're not going to end up getting to like 4 juicy things I wanted to get to. But I want to make sure we cover these because we're already on this trend of covering new things that are being built in the ecosystem. Because guess what? That's another thing. Shout out Frank Molina on Crypto Coffee's show the other night. But he said that we know the PulseChain and Hex fundamentals are not only fine, but amazing, bullish, all these things being built on them on all fronts, everywhere. You know, you forget about all this stuff here about PulseX. Like, I went in single-sided staking, the buy and burn. What other DEX has the buy and burn actually taking place? And you see that percentage ticking up every single day because Uniswap sold out on that. They don't do that. It's simply the price, and even more so today, on everything in the ecosystem that's undervalued, not the fundamentals. So, and that leads me into, you know, continue to talk about these things that are being built on it. Talk about your experience. And I'll straight up say I haven't used it anywhere near as much as Ewok, but somebody wanted to talk about OX Coast, how much you've used it, Ewok, and what your experience has been. I know you've used it, and I'm pretty sure you've liked it. I know other people have as well. Yeah, tell me a little bit about your experience with OX Coast.
Well, it's been good. I've used it a couple times. At least a handful anyway. Each time, you know, there is like a 6 or 7 minute wait, I think, from the time you click the button until your Coast tokens actually show up. So don't get freaked out like I did the first time. I was like, hey, what happened? Where did it go? Why is it not doing anything? There is a clearing process, but it's been smooth. Just do small transactions to start till you get used to it. And when you again, it goes back to the weight token. You know, your percentage is down to like 1%. If you, I'm sure the weight token, I haven't even looked at the price of that lately. But at one point, what was it, 50 or $75 to get 100,000 of those? And to save yourself 3% on the transaction fees, it's a pretty good deal. So, yeah, I've had I've had great experience with it. The customer service, those guys there's always somebody in. There's, you know, a chat thing at the bottom. If you have problems, you just message them. So customer service has been good. Again, I saw a couple people complaining that their funds got tied up. but it was by their own bank. It really had nothing to do with the Coast at all. And this one guy was just being completely unreasonable, posting all
Oh,
kind
I
of bad
saw that.
stuff.
I saw that.
So, I mean, you're
Always
going
gonna
to
be a
have that,
bitch
right?
somewhere.
There's always
Yeah.
going to be a bitch boy. So, um, yeah, but no, I've had great, I've had, it's been good. It's been really good. So I don't mind, putting it out there that, it is currently, I think, our only fiat on ramp to right into PulseChain, on the blockchain. Now there are, what was that one site? There's um, it's like a exchange. It's Changely, maybe, that you can go into PulseChain, or somebody had.
Change.org.
No. I think
Okay.
it's
I don't know.
Changely. Or there's another, there's the Go Pulse has one that you can pay with credit card. But as far
Yeah.
as going from, bank account in, I'm pretty certain that OX Coast is still the only one. Now, my bank doesn't, so they use Plaid, I think it is.
Yeah.
But there
That's
are other workarounds for that. My bank didn't block them. At first, they weren't listed on Plaid, so I had to use the other workaround to get it set up. But yeah, it works fine once I was able to do that. So yeah, I like them.
sweet.
I like their customer support. I like everything about it. The platform's pretty smooth. Like I said, there is just a little bit of a hang up though, during the processing, the payment, everything like that, till it actually shows up in your account. So don't freak out if it doesn't happen right away.
Yeah, and it is nice to have an option that is onboarding straight into PulseChain,
Yeah.
and there's going to be fees with everything that you do. So what I just told people to do now, Coast, I agree from the things I've seen of it and where I've messed around and tested things. I think it's a great product, obviously, and getting you straight onto PulseChain. But keep in mind too, like with everything, and maybe hey, just principle wise, maybe you don't want to deal with exchanges though. If that's somebody like you, then your value system would align more with like using Coast, even though yeah, there's KYC and stuff like that, but it's still not an exchange
Well,
proper anyway.
there's KYC with all of them, so you're not
Yeah,
going to get
right.
around that.
Right. But, just keep in mind, like with any kind of onboarding and getting into the ecosystem or getting into Pulse Chain, you are going to have some barrier of entry that's going to include some fees. So it's just like, Coffee made a great video about that the other day. He talked about a couple, and I looked into them and deemed them not worth my time. But I mean, there are other options that you can get into, buy it with a credit card or something like that. Anything that I've ever looked into about buying crypto with a credit card, the fees are astronomically stupid. So I have
Yeah.
never done that. But always examine the fees. Like you never know. I still have been, for the most part, just buying stables, getting them onto an exchange, and then bridging them over into Pulse Chain. But I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do it. So I would say, it depends on the user. How much are you trying to bridge over? What makes sense for you as far as the fees go? That's pretty much
Well,
it.
and even the bridge fees have been, when the Ethereum fees are up there, it's a little pricey to do that too. So kind of
Yeah.
weigh it out, see what's better for you.
Yeah. And I do find like if you're on Etherscan looking at the GUI or something like that, the estimation that it gives for bridging is very rarely accurate. Like I do
Right.
find the swap amount to be accurate. Like right now at 32 GUI, it's saying like $23, $22 a swap. Bridging though, it says $7. I guarantee if I try to bridge to Pulse Chain right
You're
now, it
looking
would
at
be like
20.
yeah, 15, I was gonna say
Yep.
anyway. Yeah, I agree
Yep.
with you. So I don't know where they get that shit, but not accurate in my experience there. This will probably be the last thing we touch on. We'd be remiss if we did. You said you want, well, maybe there's a couple, I don't know. You mentioned Rabby wallet and potentially an update with that, having a code rewrite that is showing that it's actually not open source, which it was actually one of the main selling points of the Rabby wallet. And I know that's a big one that everybody's been talking about. We just talked about Rabby wallet here last week. People have been talking about Rabby, internet money, all different types of wallets that there's a need for because MetaMask is starting to become less and less DeFi friendly. So Ewok, and if you were to pull up the tweet that you sent me a couple of tweets, I don't know if you still have them. I have them bookmarked. I think I could send them to you. But what do you make of this update from Rabby Wallet and this code rewrite, and essentially showing that their software is not open source?
Well, and that's how it was discovered. I forget who it was that was doing it, but they were trying to, use the open source code to probably build their own wallet, whatever it was. And they realized that the code that was out there that was published didn't work. There was a lot of bugs, a lot of problems. I think you just sent it to me.
I just sent it to you. Yeah, if you
Yeah, it
wanted
was
to pull it up.
Pulse Wallet guys.
Yeah.
And it says, as we near the completion of the Rabby Wallet code rewrite, we want to alert the community Rabby Wallet is not open source. The deployed code and publicly available code are undoubtedly different, which raises quite a few red flags. Anytime code is advertised as open source, and then you find out that open source code doesn't even work, it makes you really have to be concerned about what they're doing behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So if you are using Rabby currently, I would stop. You can always import your, it may be too late. Again, I don't know the extent of it. But things like that can happen if there's code that they're not sharing. It can't be audited. It can't be gone through to see if there is anything malicious within that program. So, just be very careful. I would be very leery of putting any seed words into it. Now, if you're using it as a front end to a Trezor, then you're probably still okay. Because the Trezor holds all the keys, it holds all of that stuff. You're essentially just using it as a front end, but I would potentially move funds out even until they find out what's going on. It was very, very classy of those guys to come forward with that. They've got, what did it say here? Yeah. They tried they tried to rewrite the code to follow the new standard for functionality. So the APIs are bad. There is a tracking code that was in there because it says remove all tracking code for 100% privacy and true verifiability. So again, there were things that were detected in there that probably they didn't feel were safe. So my warning is that you may want to stop using it, and possibly if you generated a seed phrase with Rabby, potentially send it to another one, create a new wallet somewhere else. Even if it is a MetaMask, currently we know that there are no hacks with that. So maybe create a new one, send your funds over to there. Just be safe. Use extra precaution. And yeah. Don't forget you got Orox the Internet Money wallet as well. So Internet Money, I still don't think works with the Hex contract. I think it was the Hex whatever it was, but anyway, those are other options just to hold money.
Well, and the key thing here is, and I saw somebody said it in a reply to that tweet about Rabby Wallet is, we should all be using hardware wallets, and these things should be nothing more MetaMask down to Rabby, Orox, or Internet Money. They should be nothing, in my opinion anyway, and the way I treat them, as just a front end, double, basically, I've heard people refer to it as a condom wallet, basically, where like you've got your Trezor, your Ledger is the backup, and then you just use it through MetaMask or something to make transactions easier, but your keys all come from the Trezor. They're not actually involved with MetaMask or anything like that. You're just using it through there. So that's what you really want to be doing. And I personally use a Trezor. I know people use Ledgers as well, but I think they're both probably good products. So that's what I'm sticking to.
Debatability on that too. There's rumors that the Ledger had a backdoor as well. So
Well, I know that at one point they leaked customer information to like advertisers or something like that, and people's names. I don't know if it was addresses, emails, names, and stuff,
It,
but it basically anybody who'd ever bought a ledger
it
was
was,
leaked out.
but then there was somebody had mentioned that there was a backdoor
Mm,
for the developers that if the government were ever to subpoena somebody, that they would let them in. Um, Kind of like those safes.
wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hmm.
So that really, again, another red flag. Just be safe.
Yeah. Yeah, not so safe after all, I guess those safes. So,
Right, right.
yeah, definitely get your security. By the time the bull market comes, you're going to want to make sure that your security was set up properly. I'll tell you that for sure. All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap us up for tonight. We got some stuff we'll push a little bit to next week, but I think, the three-letter agencies in the United States kind of gave us some stories tonight, gave us some good ammo to talk about the true values of real DeFi in crypto. And a lot of the things that they took action against today, even if it was inappropriate action, was not DeFi. So we don't really do anything with them. So anyway, if you guys are here, we're getting ready to wrap it up. Do us a favor, smash the like before you leave the stream. We do this every single Tuesday night here at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That'll wrap it up for us. So everybody, and I'll let you say this as well, Ewok. You know what? Let's do a last quick segment. I think we had this conversation personally already, but Thanksgiving, okay, here in the U.S., it's coming up on Thursday. What favorite part of Thanksgiving dinner? You have to give me your number one food. Don't just say turkey. Okay, you can't do that. What's your number one Thanksgiving? What's your favorite thing on that plate?
The stuffing from inside the turkey is my favorite.
Boom.
But I'm cooking for my family, so I have to prepare it all. So of course I'm going to make it how I like it, but I'll be doing everything:
Selfish.
the turkey, the mashed potatoes, the stuffing, the gravy, the noodles, and corn, and even probably a little bit of cranberry sauce. And I don't eat it, but some other people do.
I'm not into
Um,
cranberry sauce either. Yeah.
yeah, not a big fan, but like I said, I know a lot of people like the sweet potatoes, candy
Oh
potatoes.
yeah. Oh dude,
I
I
don't
forgot
do
about
those
sweet
either.
potatoes.
I don't do those either. It just gets to be too much, man. There's only so much room in the oven,
Yeah.
so many burners on the stove. So, but yeah, I've been cooking for my family for I don't know. I've been doing it for quite a few years now. I've kind of perfected it, not perfected it. It turns out really
A little
well.
bit of a braggart here.
Anyway,
Well, hey,
anyway.
you've cooked for me. You have cooked for me, including a little bit over the weekend, which is fantastic. So that was great stuff. Yeah, stuffing from inside the turkey, definitely fantastic with a little bit of gravy on it too. Some people call it that dressing, whatever. I love green bean casserole with those crispy onions on it and stuff like that, the cream of mushroom soup and everything. Oh my God.
Yeah,
I love that. I don't know. You said sweet potatoes. I love sweet potatoes as well. Basically, I'm just all carved up here.
yeah,
You know,
lots of carbs.
yeah, you want it all. I mean, I know there are a lot of people are like, hey, put it all on the fork at one time, take a bite of everything. There's something to be said for that a little bit, I think. Maybe when I'm eating the leftovers later on. But, I kind of want to go piece by piece when I'm first having, Thanksgiving dinner. So,
Yeah,
um,
definitely for the leftovers. Probably one of my favorite things is you get a bowl, and you put a little bit of turkey and a little bit of mashed potato, just everything, and you just mix it up.
yeah,
Uh,
or turn it into a sandwich. That's always
well,
a good option as well.
there's a lot of places that will do a Thanksgiving like burrito, so they put
Ooh,
everything
there you go.
in the burrito, and yeah, I forget what it's called. Uh,
We'll call it a Thanksgiving burrito.
no, how did I? I'll remember. I'll remember later. But either way,
Pecan
they're
pie. Mr. Chinks brings up pecan pie.
pecan
Definitely a
pie.
good pie. I know it's an old standard, but I love apple pie, like with good kind of crumble, hard topping on it like that. I think pumpkin pie sucks. I don't know where you stand on that, Ewok, but a lot of people in my family are huge fans of pumpkin pie. I do not understand it. I don't think there's very much taste. Mincemeat pie, if you're familiar with that, I like
I've
mincemeat
had
pie.
that. I've
I'm
had
not
that.
going to eat a pumpkin pie, though. So,
I don't mind pumpkin pie.
okay, well,
My
you
mom
and I are
always
going to have
brings
to.
the desserts. I don't have to do that. So
That's good.
Yeah.
We'll have to agree to disagree on pumpkin pie. All right. Well, that's a good conversation. I think we'll wrap it up there. Yeah, I want to shout out everybody in the chat. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. We do this every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. We appreciate you joining us. We will be here next week on November the 28th at 8 p.m. So for Crypto Ewok, this has been Boi Crypto. Have a happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We'll see you next week right here on the Creed of Crypto podcast.